Is EarthBound the lovingly warped sitcom of Japanese RPGs, or the avant-garde late-night radio play that Nintendo somehow smuggled onto American shelves in the summer of '95? Do rhetorical questions answer themselves? Only if you hit B fast enough. Reviews at launch called it childish, stinky, literally more on the Scratch-and-Sniff fiasco in a minute, and just another turn-based grind. 29 years later, the same cartridge is auctioning for rent-level money and inspiring indie devs to write essays titled, "How do I bottle that e-toy energy?" Underrated back then? Absolutely. Overrated now. Tell that to my still intact player's guide, pages laminated with tears of joy. Fundamental? Like gravity, oxygen, and unplugging the SNES during a thunderstorm. Skip it, and half the jokes in modern game design whiz over your head. Because when a rural kid named Ness wields a cracked bat against interdimensional despair, while a photographer dive bombs every milestone shouting, "Fuzzy pickles." You're not just playing a game, you're decoding the DNA of gaming's most lovable oddballs. Historical context: Nintendo in 1994 was a hydro with Saturday morning energy. Donkey Kong Country pioneered pre-render swagger. Super Metroid proved atmosphere could fit on a 24 megabit cart, and the Big N's R&D 1 team was busy pushing Virtual Boy prototypes no one dared explain at Thanksgiving. Into that pixel cornucopia waddled Shigesato Itoi, a veteran copywriter, essayist, and TV personality, pitching a sequel to Mother, his Famicom love letter to small-town America filtered through Beatles lyrics and UFO pulp. The first game never reached the West, except as a half-translated prototype called EarthBound Zero that lurked on BBS boards. But Nintendo of America bet that Mother 2, now retitled EarthBound, could ride the 16-bit JRPG wave cresting after Final Fantasy III and Chrono Trigger. Japan got the party first on August 27th, 1994, complete with TV commercials showing Itoi in a lab coat poking at slime. North America waited until June 5th, 1995, when Nintendo of America wrapped the cartridge in a hilariously oversized box, because it had to fit a 128-page player's guide with Scratch-and-Sniff cards proclaiming, "This game stinks? Marketing subtlety? Don't play coy. It was the 90s. Gross out sold gack. So why not sell existential humor?" The guide's trivia bits, like real UFO sightings in Roswell, primed clueless kids for the ride. I remember stumbling upon that box at Toys R Us, its neon swirl and yellow terrain map screaming different. My arcade crew, XP Arcade regulars who mainlined fight sticks, scoffed. Turn-based? Where's the parry window? But I traded 2 weeks of pizza money and carted it home. That night, between calls to in-game dad for allowance and actual dad yelling bedtime, I realized EarthBound wasn't parodying America, it was x-raying childhood itself. The Gaia Market RPGs of the day worshipped medieval castles and mana trees. Itoi gave us suburbs, ATMs, and a dog named King that refused to leave the front yard after the tutorial. Behind the curtain, HAL Laboratories engineers, led by a then not yet president Satoru Iwata, spent years salvaging code after an early build imploded. Iwata reportedly rewrote massive portions in 6 months, the programming equivalent of soloing through the fire, and flames on Expert while blindfolded. Composer Keiichi Suzuki, moonlighting from his rock band Moonriders, fused surf guitar riffs with ambient Lennon-McCartney chord progressions, while Nintendo sound legend Hirokazu Hip Tanaka dropped bass lines that still loop in lo-fi YouTube playlists. The resulting vibe felt like Peanuts characters guest starring on Twin Peaks, but soundtracked by Brian Wilson over a dial-up modem. Mechanics on the surface, EarthBound doodles inside traditional JRPG lines. Top-down exploration, random, visible encounters, turn-based menus, the absurd filament woven through, a rolling HP meter, a literal analog-style odometer that ticks down after you're hit. Take a mortal 300 horsepower bash, and you can still mash out a life-saving sandwich or PK freeze before the counter spins to 0. It's tension physics, a miniature time rewind that would make From Software blush. Your Dark Souls flask has more iframes than a 3.5E monk, but Ness invented the clutch heal. Enemy sprites wander the map, sizing you up like mall cops. Outlevel them and they scatter, collide anyway, and the game auto wins, showering you with EXP minus the slog. It's mercy quality of life design 10 years before streamlined became critic shorthand for "they removed remove the fun. Yet when a new age retro hippie sicks you with a toothbrush or a lil UFO renders your party feeling strange, you're hip deep in turn order calculus. Do I bash with Ness's baseball bat, burn PP on Paula's PK Fire Gamma, pray for a random miracle, or let Jeff unleash bottle rockets procured from a subtle, almost roguelike item economy in Winters? The inventory system admittedly feels like a mid-80s rental VCR. 8 slots per character, one clogged by equipment, another by a help phone number for hints. Enter the game's capitalist satire in the form of Escargot Express, your personal storage courier who charges a fee to haul junk between telephones. PSI Teleport becomes its own mini-game. Run an uninterrupted straight line long enough to ignite warp speed, but miss a trash can and your party faceplants like Looney Tunes Tumbleweed. Even saving involves calling dad on public phones, hearing him monologue about overtime, then depositing cash into your bank account as passive income. Does this make dad the first idle clicker mechanic? Answer, yes, if you squint past the allowance. Let's talk battlescapes. Backgrounds swirl in tie-dye fractals, an art attack excerpted from a 60s liquid light show. No other SNES RPG pipes this many sine wave gradients into combat. Squaresoft's Mode 7 summon cinematics look baroque, but EarthBound static stills radiate dream logic. Add in enemy names, Territorial Oak, Handsome Tom, Criminal Caterpillar, and you're essentially brawling a Dadaist poetry slam. The absurd leitmotif I promised, the overhead photographer who parachutes in, blocks your path, and demands a group picture every milestone. Say fuzzy pickles. He's my through line because no single mechanic breaks fourth walls as gleefully. You can't skip him. He freeze frames progress and immortalizes mundane triumphs, like recovering a pencil eraser, an eraser that erases pencil erasers naturally. Yet EarthBound lines its whimsy with dread. Villain Giygas is a cosmic fetus of hatred, fought in darkness lit only by Paula's prayers relayed across NPCs you befriended, culminating in a final screen so abstract gamers still debate subliminal imagery. It flips the power fantasy. You don't kill the big bad, you emotionally disarm him with collective hope. Mechanically, that means Paula's Pray command, which earlier sprinkled random buffs, now functions as a scripted multi-phase audience participation super move. 30 minutes earlier, you were buying ketchup packets for your hamburgers. Now you're petitioning universal empathy to defeat trauma incarnate. Around that tonal whiplash swirl side systems, the Runaway 5 jazz band, whose debt relief side quests unlock tour bus fast travel, the stoic dungeon man, Brick Road turned literal maze golem, who joins as a temporary party tank but gets snagged between palm trees, and Pooh's Moo training, a sequence of sensory deprivation where your guts are removed, mechanically stripping gear slots, before his PSI Starstorm awakens. Mundane Americana collides with spiritual body horror, yet the UI stays cheerful, like Clippy guiding you through tax software. Legacy and influence flat sales doomed EarthBound's western trajectory, a proc 140,000 US units, a rounding error next to Donkey Kong Country's 8 million. Blame its late 16-bit arrival, blame the foul-smelling ad campaign, blame rental culture undercutting purchases. Whatever the autopsy, Nintendo shelved the series outside Japan, dooming Mother 3 to fan translation infamy. But cult status fermented, emulation, Smash Brothers cameos, Ness sneaking PK Fire into dorm LAN matches, and that fabled fan site Starmen.net mutated hype until secondhand carts soared, and EarthBound trended every E3 in hopes of a new entry. Designers cite it like scripture. Toby Fox built Undertale atop eToy's chummy narrator and Mercy Over Murder turnabouts. Lisa, the painful, Citizens of Earth, and even South Park. The Stick of Truth channel its kids on a quest across suburbia DNA. The rolling HP gauge re-emerged in Bug Fables, while the visible enemy plus auto win ethos underpins Pokemon Let's Go's nixing of random battles. Meanwhile, soundtrack sampling laws forced composers to innovate. EarthBound's Beatles-esque chord slides and Beach Boys harmonies previewed the lo-fi hip-hop craze decades before YouTube's Study Girl donned headphones. Nintendo finally re-released the game on Wii U Virtual Console in 2013 after a thunderous Miiverse petition, then on Switch Online in 2022. Each drop fueled by, so this is why Ness is in Smash reactions. Physical merch flourishes. Fangamers Mr. Mr. Saturn plushes, vinyl OST pressings, even a coffee table book handbook complete with Scratch-and-Sniff page revival. Fear not, they ditched the puke scent. The game retains niche status. Words like cult cling because Itoi retired the series. But its fingerprints coat any narrative RPG that cracks jokes about inventory management or lets mothers leave encouraging voicemails mid-boss gauntlet. Closing paragraph plus score. So where does EarthBound land on our cosmic scale from bizarre trinket to canonical keystone? It's both. A bizarro postcard stuffed between milk money and space-time philosophy, yet also an essential Rosetta Stone for reading modern RPG humor. Under or overrated debates crumble when a single playthrough permanently recalibrates your taste buds. Suddenly ketchup on burgers feels strategic, save points without dad jokes feel sterile, and final bosses that don't haunt your subconscious feel lazy. Any game that weaponizes hope, merchant fees, and photographic photobombs, looking at you, camera guy, across a 30-hour sugar coup deserves our eternal fuzzy pickled gratitude. Final score, 9 out of 10, lost 1 point for inventory micromanagement that could frustrate a 3.5E monk. Otherwise, this stinky cartridge still smells like genius.